Please.
Hey,
Hey.
quick question.
Yeah.
What character does Pearl Mackie play?
As Bill.
Thank you! It will never not be funny. Welcome to Doctor Who Review 2. Oh, hang on, no, to be fair, this series and the first episode of it is a partial reboot to try and win new viewers. So we should treat this like new viewers are watching.
Okay.
Sup, losers?
What up? No.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris.
Hi, I'm not Chris.
I'm losing my voice, so you're going to have to take the lion's share of the
I
talking
have
in this
half
one,
a numb face.
We're doing great, really.
Because I've just put Oragel on because I've got toothache. Woo!
Classy. And this is a podcast, but there's some envision for those who like to have sort of a screensavery
Do you
vibe
actually
going
put this
on.
on like a podcast?
No. Oh god, no. I'm already paying for like 2 other places to put podcasts up. No. No, this is it's a podcast that you listen to on YouTube, but if you like a visual component, there's stuff going on in the background, so occasionally you'll see a dog yawn, just like that.
A baby.
A baby, I'm in. We're recording this back in
I'm talking to you.
the end of May 2023.
Yeah.
And in our marathon, we are up to Doctor Who Modern Era, Series 10. The way this works is that if you are watching this, we're assuming you've also watched the stories. So you won't be getting episode recaps, you'll be getting our thoughts.
Yes.
What makes this one a unique one is it's from a period where you were no longer watching the show, but you were kind of aware of this series.
Yeah,
Because
I think
I engaged with... This was the first series I'd actually kind of got into, really, and was sort of, I'm going to tune in when it goes out.
Yeah.
For a good, 3 or 4 years at this point. Proceed, sorry, I was like,
sorry,
I cut across you for contextual reasons.
I was
Now I
just
will
gonna say,
sup my liquids.
I have a big dirty crush on Peter Capaldi because what?
You've not made that known prior.
What?
You said oh, he's a bit alright, isn't he?
Peter Capaldi?
Has this...
From the thick of it.
Oh, nah, right.
Absolutely,
I thought your crush was on Malcolm Tucker specifically.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
right, okay.
He's undisclosed reasons.
You want him to say horrid things about your campaign.
Whilst doing horrible things to my campaign.
Well, that's this review not monetised. Fantastic.
I'm so sorry. Anyway.
Age restrictions up the wazoo.
I forgot what I was talking about.
You fancy Peter Capaldi?
Oh yeah, so when I saw you watching
this era,
I was like, okay, it's not got Clara in it. Okay, I'll watch a little bit. I'll pay attention whilst you're watching it. I definitely watched the
Thin Ice, the Victorian Frost.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that one. I've definitely seen the one with David Suchet in.
Knock Knock.
Yeah, definitely seen that one, and I was like, what the hell is going on? But I'd seen snippets of the others. So I did essentially go in blind on this.
Yeah.
And then, oh no, Patty. So, yeah, it was exciting to watch, knowing that I didn't know anything about it. But you'd obviously seen all of these.
Yeah, this is, again, like the previous couple series, I hadn't watched these ones a lot. I think I watched them on broadcast.
Yeah.
And I've definitely seen, out of the ones we're going to talk about today, I've definitely seen Thin Ice more than once.
Is there any Doctor Who you've not seen now? No.
No. In terms of what's available, I've covered it all. Although, since we started this series in 2018, some more animations have come out. We're not going to be doing all of them, but we are going to be doing a triple bill of Troughton animations after we finish Capaldi's era.
Don't tell them all.
We've mentioned it before.
Okay.
So before we move into the Chibnall era of the show, we're going to go back and watch, for the first time, as it were, The Faceless Ones, Fury from the Deep, and another one which is... No, it's no Marco Polo, my dear.
Why do I keep thinking that it's Marco Polo?
Because you like playing Marco. Marco.
Yeah, but only in Uncharted.
Only in Uncharted, in a pool, yeah.
With people going, what?
What is happening? You're such a child.
Yeah.
Come on!
It's adorable.
So,
if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So yeah, we'll be getting to some Troughton stuff. Oh, the Macro Terror. That was it. Yes, Kooky, Krabby from Pokemon noises. Yes, sure. We'll be getting to that later. But this is, this was a soft reboot for the show which is quite an unusual choice. We knew it was Stephen Moffat's last series as showrunner, meaning a lot of the creative team behind the camera were going to be leaving after the series, and we knew, I think, by a certain point that Capaldi... Actually, hang on, when did we find out Capaldi was leaving? Earlier in 2017. Yes, because the Jodie Whittaker reveal trailer was the summer of 2017, Wimbledon sort of era.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
Oh, it was bloody ages ago. Bloody ages ago, mate.
Ages ago, Will.
Jodie Whittaker was announced... Around the time of this recording, Jodie Whittaker was announced about 6 years ago.
Oh my god.
As being the Doctor.
What?
Mind you, we're in a lovely little state of flux, as it were, pun not intended, right now, because as of this recording, the 60th anniversary specials haven't gone out, and we know we're getting those, and possibly a Christmas/New Year's special with Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. So it's a weird time, really, because it's like, we've got 2 Doctors coming up before the end of the year as the stars of their stories.
Do you remember last year us saying, God, I'm not going to watch Doctor Who for ages, and now it's until next year, and now we're like, oh, it's this year.
It's coming up later. But we've also been getting lovely little official teasers to sort of satiate our appetites. Backwards. Like, we know about cast members who are showing up in the 2024 series, like Jonathan Groff, and we've heard about all that stuff, and it's like, this is really cool. That's cool.
That's cool.
That's cool. So, Jinx Monsoon, we've heard about all this stuff, so it's like, that's really cool. We've been satiated. Back in 2017, the show wanted to sort of win over some people. The viewing figures had gone down somewhat, but that was more a statement on not just audience retention or fan retention, but also, quite simply, 2017 was the time TV had officially changed. Streaming by 2017 was the dominant way people watched television. They either watched things on catch-up or they watched streaming service exclusive programming.
Yeah.
First, live TV second. So, Moffat had a fairly smart idea. Before we go, let's reset everything just a bit to make it accessible and try and win new people in. And we get the pilot as a result. Obviously the name is a pun, based on the fact that the first episode of any show is a pilot episode.
Yeah.
But before the pilot came out in 2017, back in 2016, we got a sneak preview of it with a short called Friend from the Future, which played during, if I remember correctly, I think, was this one Wimbledon? Let's see.
I think it was Wimbledon.
Ah, yes, Wimbledon.
Sorry.
Well, it played on the BBC in April of 2016. In fact, 1 week short of a year before the series started. So, after Husbands of River Song, before Class, before the Return of Doctor Mysterio, we got Friend from the Future. Which I tried to describe it to you. You were like, what is it? I was like, think about the prequels. It's sort of that, but it's not. It's a scene from the first episode, but we're seeing a full version of the scene, which when it appears in the episode will be shorter. And you were like, what? And I went, just watch it. Now that you've seen them both, makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's like a sneak peek of an upcoming story, but when you watch the thing, you realise they've not just taken a clip out. They've gone, here's a full scene, and then in the actual episode, you're just going to see the first bit of this scene.
I'm so sorry. Remind me, what was it on?
This was the one where they're in the corridors of
No, I know what it
War.
is, but where could you find it?
It went out on television. It was like UEFA Cup or Wimbledon. It was a sporting event. It was one of those that were just sports. They were just we've got a lot of viewers. Let us tease them with this. Hey, here's a teaser trailer for a jumping on point for the show. And it's out in a year. Here's a little sneak preview.
Right.
And it was fun. It was cute. Apparently, it was the script that was written for Bill's audition, and then they turned it into this sequence. And essentially, it's just the Doctor trying to explain why they need to be quiet and careful because what a Dalek is and what it could do to them if it finds them.
Yeah.
and Bill being equal parts frightened and sort of
Confused.
realistically quizzical about it all. Yeah.
She fat shames a Dalek, though.
She does. She does fat. It's not the only fat shaming she does in this first story,
it's
really.
Not.
But
made me question whether or not I like this.
It was odd. It's an odd introduction, but yeah. But anyway, the scene's short. It's sweet. It gets the point across. I like it. It is notorious for one specific reason, though. What is that?
It introduces Bill. And obviously the actor's name, I can't remember what.
Pearl Mackie.
It comes up, Pearl Mackie as Bill, but
yep.
it's not got spacing between. It's not going to have spacing between as and Bill, so it looks like as Bill is the name.
Yep.
Like Nardole.
Near bugger.
As Bill.
Near bugger. Proof read like Bill's introduction.
Oswin.
Osgood, Osbad, Oswald.
Oswald.
Yeah, it just says Pearl Mackie as Bill. It's like that's.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember when oh God, what was her name? The singer, I dreamed a dream of time come, who was on X Factor or Pop Idol or whatever it was called.
Susan Boyle.
Susan
Album Party. Oh my God, that's a flashback.
That's what it reminds
2010, I think that was. Susan Boyle released her first full album, and it was advertised with the hashtag Susan Album Party, but without capital letters used at the start of each word in the hashtag. So Sue's Anal Bum Party was a trending topic for a week because everyone couldn't get over the fact no one had thought about this at all.
It was bad. But it was spectacular at the same
time. It's a cute little scene that leads us brilliantly into the pilot. What do you think of the pilot? I think it is a nice, straightforward, well-handled first episode of a modern series Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I think it sits very comfortably alongside, maybe not Rose. I think Rose does the impossible task of going, do you get it now? Okay, see you next week.
Yeah.
I think this is sort of in the same vein as maybe Smith and Jones.
I'd say it was better than Smith and Jones.
Partners in Crime.
Not as good as Partners in Crime.
Bells of St. John. It's sort of in that thing of, here's a threat. The threat's quite clear. It's a little bit weird. This is mostly here so that we can see the story through the eyes of this normal person. But it also goes, you've already been watching this for a few years. We're going to leave a little bit of a mystery. We're going to put a little bit of the Who back into Doctor Who. Because you're going to be like, hang on. Last time second time but last we saw him, we knew what was going on with him. The last time we saw him, not counting Class, the last time we saw him...
Never count Class.
Never count Class. The last time we saw him, he'd rebuilt or built a new body for Nardole, a character he'd met in The Husbands of River Song, and Nardole was travelling with him.
Yes.
Now, Nardole is his live-in assistant. Nardole is basically K9. Nardole is K9. And Zendaya is Michi, and Nardole is K9.
I guess.
And the Doctor is a tenured university lecturer whose class is non-specific, but everyone shows up to it because everyone comes away basically inspired, and there's rumours on the campus from other teachers that he's been there for 50 years at least.
But how is that possible?
And then we find that he and Nardole are guarding a vault under the university in Bristol. They're guarding a vault.
Can I just point out that I love this Bristol and not London
or Cardiff.
Cardiff.
That's because at this point they'd started filming in Bristol.
Okay.
Which, my throat's really bad. For those who don't know, I've got a part-time job at the time of this recording, and a lot of it is talking to customers. And today was the first day where I was like, oh, it's hit me now. It's hit me that I'm talking a lot. Got tomorrow off though, so I'm going to spend it just not talking and drinking tea, basically.
Pudding.
Yeah. But anyway,
Sorry.
Bless you. You're so caring.
Only because you're my husband.
The most recent series and the specials that are coming up for you lot, you'll already have seen some of them, has been filming in Bristol more often. There's been filming in Cardiff, Bristol, and a little bit in London, and there's rumours that they're going to start shooting more in Manchester next year.
Oh, sweet.
Should be very cool. And
Guaranteed, I know exactly where they'll be filming.
Oh yeah, because there's certain areas that are always used. What were you miming? What were you miming there?
I mean, should I say it?
Just say it.
Northern Quarter.
What? Why would that be? Why would you be worried about the saying Northern Quarter? It's a
know.
giant section of Manchester that has been used for filming in such things as Captain America: The First Avenger.
I don't know.
It was used in Morbius.
I accidentally walked onto that set,
On the Morbius set, you did.
Not on the Morbius set, on the Captain America one.
But back in
Yeah.
2009.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, with
You kept that from me.
a friend that I'm not friends with anymore. We were just walking. I can't remember where we were going, but we just ended up walking, and there were loads of wires on the floor. And we were like, "What the hell is this?" And
Well, did you know it was the
And
genesis of
people
one
were
of your
like,
favourite...
"Excuse me, can you vacate this area?" And we were like, "Whoops, sorry."
It was the genesis of one of your favourite franchises.
Oh
and
my
you had
god!
no idea.
I could have been close to Chris Evans, and I didn't know.
For those who don't know, it was the shots outside the shop that's the disguise for where the super soldier experiment happens, and the place where he's pegging it after the Peggy, haha.
What?
I said pegging it after, and then realised Peggy, but then I said the word pegging on its own. Look, what Steve and Margaret Peggy Carter get up to in their own time is their business. Yeah, this is the scene where he's pelting it down the street after Richard Armitage in the cab is filmed in the northern quarter of Manchester, and then they filmed a bit in Liverpool near the docks for the bit at the actual dockside.
Yeah.
Although they run through the archway in Manchester, the one that's in the northern quarter near the train station first. Anyway,
that made me laugh.
we should probably talk about the thing we were talking
Oh yeah,
about.
Doctor Who.
The mystery of there being a vault under the university is interesting. I think it's a great hook.
Yeah.
It adds it's Seventh Doctor era again. It's like, no, seriously, who are you? What's going on? There's stuff we don't know about you, and we, the viewer, are being deliberately kept out of the loop.
Yeah.
What's going on? I like the pilot.
I like the pilot.
It's not a, oh my god, I'm going to stick that one on because it's a really good like mood setter. It's not like I think I could watch Rose 1,000 times and never get bored of it. It's just such a great
Yeah, it's enticing for adults and kids.
Yeah, and I think this one...
And that's something that
it lost a bit
we
in the
talked
last couple
about
of years. Yeah.
loads, that it's lost essentially.
It's a kids show that keeps forgetting that kids are in the
kids.
audience.
Yeah.
I think this one does it quite well. I think it's sort of it's kind of where it needs to be. It's sort of like a slightly creepier Sarah Jane Adventures kind of vibe. This one, I think the Puddle is a brilliantly creepy antagonist who turns out to be obviously a misunderstanding, but it's like there's still a threat.
It's something that you come across every day. Well, not every day, but.
And that whole thing of, can you see it? Can you see what's wrong? And she couldn't quite at first, and you, the viewer, are looking at it going, no. Yeah. And then you realise it's reflecting your image back at you because it's mimicking your image. It's not a reflection. And it's like, that's great. But the idea
all
of
the
them...
more reason not to look in the mirror.
The idea of them testing the whole thing of, like, travelling across the campus, and it follows them.
Yeah.
So they travel to Australia, and it follows them. So they travel to a distant planet in, like, the far future, and it follows them. And it's like, that is a terrifying concept. Yeah. But of course, it's jet fuel, it's engine fuel, it's smart fuel, it's petrol for a spaceship that is programmed to adapt. And it has a pilot, now it wants a passenger. It's like, what a great idea. There's sort of a little nod to Remembrance of the Daleks, the idea of scorch marks on a yard outside a school, in this case the uni, like where a ship has been. Oh, that's quite cool. I think, let me look up who plays Heather. Do you want to say the Heather trivia before someone in the comments writes it as though we don't know it? Why is the Heather character called Heather?
Oh, I can't remember. I'm thinking of that class one now.
She's called Heather because she's Bill's love interest. And Heather was the name of Bill Hartnell's wife.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people at the time went, oh, that's so sweet, like, I bet he'd be really chuffed, and I'm like, I don't think he would.
No.
We love the first Doctor, and it's great, it's totally fine to admire him as an actor, But
Something's telling me no.
It's a black lesbian character. I don't think
Which
Bill Hartnell
kinda
would
makes
be
it
fine
better.
with that. Da-da-da.
Makes it better that they did it.
It's almost like reclaiming the works of Lovecraft, which people do. Anyway,
La la.
yeah. I think Heather, played by Stephanie Hyam, is that right level of awkward and then that brilliant level of, oh, good lord, you're freaky as hell, when Heather is effectively dead. Like, Heather is only really alive in the first part of the episode. There's some weird direction choices around their relationship, like the shots of them meeting like at the club and stuff are awkward and weird. It's like trying to go for stylized, but it kind of looks a little amateur in places. I think Lawrence Gow, who's the director of this, has a great sense of pacing, but there were certain shot choices where I was like, that just looks naff. Case in point, them just walking and looking at each other in the club, and it just randomly circling them, and it's like, did they talk to each other? Because when they meet the next day, it's almost like Bill is approaching her for the very first time.
Yeah.
So it's like, was that a dream sequence? Yeah. Or it's a little unclear.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
I love the slightly romantic storybook fairy tale notion of Heather having a star in her eye. It's a very Moffat first era.
Nothing to do with anything apart from.
It was just to give
to make a unique
Heather a reason to have easily spotted that the reflection was wrong. Because it was her other eye in the reflection, and she was like, what? Instead of like the opposite one in the image. That's the only reason it's like that.
Yeah.
Plus also it's the idea of the girl with the stars in her eyes. There's a poetic tie-in later in the series, so it's like, okay, sure, whatever.
Does she go on stars in your eyes?
Star in your one eye. Star in your good eye.
One good eye.
Shock eye. Oh, shock eye! Yay!
Shock eyes. What?
Shock eye. Quick! Grab Patrick Troughton, let's stick on her ginger eyebrows and go eat some stuff. Anyway,
sure.
Jennifer Hennessy as Moira, Bill's adoptive mom, continues Stephen Moffat's tradition of parents being either absent or horrible people.
I don't like her.
Like, she makes horrible digs of like, oh yeah, well, I'm only your adopted mother and all this. It's just like this weird exposition in the dialogue, and she's just a bit of an arsehole. And it's like, that's horrid. Love the idea of Bill having never met her mum, and then suddenly Moira finds photos of Bill's mum that she didn't realise she had in her possession. And Bill is basically seeing her mum properly for the first time. And then she spots the freaking opening, the front cover of the first issue of The Killing Joke hiding in a mirror, essentially. Capaldi looking ultra voyeuristic.
She took that pretty well. Hi.
Well, she doesn't bring it up, does she?
Yeah, that's a wacky
She doesn't bring it up. It's played as sort of like a magical, wait, what is this kind of thing. And then obviously as the series progresses, or this episode progresses, she comes to terms with the idea of, he travels in time. It's sort of a creepy version of the, David Tennant at the start of Smith and Jones. The first you see of him is in the street walking up to Martha, taking his tie off and going, see? And then he walks away. She's like, the hell? That's the first we see of him in the episode. And then she sees him in the hospital bed. He's like, I just saw you out in the street. He's like, did you? No, I've been in here all day. And at the end of the episode, when he's explained how it travels in time, he goes in the TARDIS, it vanishes, he comes back out, he's put his tie back on. It's like, ah! This is sort of Moffat doing, I could do that, but doing the creepiest version. Yeah. Though him gifting her photos of her mum is a wonderful sentiment.
Yeah.
The reveal of him being the one who took the photos through a creepy reflection is like, you could have done that better, I think.
Oh, Doctor.
Mavellans! Mavellans in their sparkly glory with their mop hats.
That was nice. You said that
You'll recognise a classic era sort of race, like a character. And you were like, alright.
I was like, I have no idea what's going to appear here.
Testing if the puddle was going to follow them to a dangerous location, so he just zaps them into the middle of a war that he knows of, so he knows to keep a safe distance. And it's the Dalek-Mavellan conflict.
It is. And it was
that's so cool. Because like Destiny of the Daleks is awful, but we had fun with it. You still to this day piss yourself laughing thinking of Davros banging his chair into things. But like
makes the Daleks tolerable.
But we quite like the Mavellans. You know, they're an interesting sort of cyborg race and everything.
Weird and sexy.
And the fact that they don't try and modernise them.
Yeah.
They just go, no, sparkly suits, mopeds, that's what they look like. And they're shot well. It's one of the instances where Lawrence Goff shoots that really well.
Yeah.
And it's it's literally you don't need to know who they are, but if you do, it's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Like the monoid puppet in Time of the Doctor when they're doing the Punch and Judy show on Christmas. And like one of them's just it's just a monoid puppet with its one eye and it's put them in the security kitchen. He's just got one of them in the Punch and Judy show. It's really brief in that special, but it's just
dang it.
It's just a puppet, but if you know, it's like nice, okay,
nice.
I appreciate that. Let's talk about the main attraction here. Bill Mackey.
Billy.
As Bill's gone, Bill's joined the show now.
Yeah.
We see as Bill for one sequence on the Dalek, in the Dalek conflict. Aside from a weird fat-shaming thing at the beginning, like the idea that Bill stopped fancying that lady because she'd overfed her chips, like when she was being nice to her. That's weird. That's a very Moffat thing where you can tell he's like,
yeah.
oh, the joke is that she's accidentally made her less attractive in her eyes, but it's like, so you're saying that people who are fat are not attractive? Okay, we see where you stand, Steve. Okay, fantastic. It's like the least Bill thing Bill says in this opening episode.
Yeah. Hello. What's happening?
Hey, little legs.
What's happening?
After that, really like her. Really like Bill. I did on watch of the series. I liked Bill a lot.
I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna shock you.
Oh.
I like Bill as well.
She's good, right?
Yeah.
Do you mind popping the lamp on? Sorry, I'm sure I was
sorry.
losing the light quite a bit. Sorry. Like, she's real good. She's great.
She is.
And I love the idea of, like, she works at the canteen at the university, but she's heard about these lectures, so she started, like, popping in. And the Doctor is obviously intrigued by someone who's, like, not here to study, but can't help herself. And you can see he's itching to get back to what he likes to do, like meet a friend and travel.
Yeah.
He's so desperate to do it again, but he's made a promise, which obviously we don't know much about at this point. So he can't do it. But then she kind of gives him the opportunity after they've been through this adventure together. And it's like, but he begins with the baby steps of, all right, I'm gonna teach you out of hours.
Yeah.
And even though the way it's presented is very whimsical and very storybook and very kids, young adult fiction, I do like that Moira does at least kind of very briefly go like, dirty that is, dodgy that. Old man, like seeing a student, do you know what I mean? There's like enough of it. We've put the lampshade on it. Bill makes it clear it's not like that. We also know that Bill's not remotely interested in him that way. It's not even on her radar.
Yeah.
I think Bill works really great in this. She's inquisitive. She's very daft.
Yeah.
Like, and not intentionally. She's. I mean this in the nicest way. She's a little bit thick, and it plays brilliantly, because she's not.
Naive.
She's not stupid.
She's naive.
But she's a bit thick.
Yeah. She's.
Yeah. She's not careless, but she is naive. Like, essentially, she's not a perfect little princess character who's like, put me in the adventure and we're ready to go.
Yeah.
She's flawed and does need sort of a hand holding a little, which for a pilot is kind of important. Rose was not
You're
perfectly
desperate to sit
formed
with me, aren't
in
you?
Rose. You know what I mean? That's not how it works. I think the pilot's fine. It's nothing to like write home about, but it's a really good like, okay.
It's a strong opening.
Yeah, yeah. It's what you need. It's what you bloody well need.
It's the Doctor Who that we all deserved.
Pay jingo.
Would you like to hear me notes on it?
Absolutely. Whip out your notes for the pilot.
The pilot. If Humpty Dumpty were a person, they would look like Matt Lucas.
Yeah, he is sort of like comically round in this. They're giving the massive overcoat. Even
It's not
even when he doesn't
necessarily
need to
that.
wear the overcoat, they're giving those big waistcoats and kind of accentuate a cuddly look for him. But also, we grew up with him as Georgie Dawes in Shooting Stars, so he's always been
Yeah.
a giant round baby man to us.
It's like somebody got a normal human head,
Yeah.
put a face on it, and just went, let's just make that face a little bit smaller.
Do you know what would scare you if we watched the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland? Just the Tweedledee and Tweedledum scenes.
If there's a phobia of eggs with faces...
Yeah, the reason why this is an
I've
issue
got a thing.
is...
That's what I've got.
Not Chris has, like, 2 specific reactionary phobias. It's squids. No, it's 3. Red-eyed robots, squids, and people who look like eggs. Basically, Humpty Dumpty. Like, that's... dinosaurs a little bit. Tiny bit.
Yeah, but I'm not going to encounter one of them.
No. Red-eyed robots, yes. Humpty Dumpty, no, but you'll see Humpty Dumpty forever. So.
I hate Humpty Dumpty.
Fuck Humpty Dumpty. Yeah, I said an F word. Welcome to this pilot, mother trucker.
Being a knitter and a crocheter, I come across patterns that are, Humpty Dumpty-esque.
Yeah.
Or, like, Easter eggs with faces, and I'm like, why would you want that? I'm not having it. If a customer wants it, they can find it on their own. They're not getting it from my shop.
Subcategory of that, she also hates Thomas the Tank Engine and how they look as well.
How is that not the scariest thing?
Same reason.
Putting a face on some... I mean...
Wait till you see the boulder with a face.
It's weird, because sometimes I like things with faces on. But, I don't know.
Through the window, through the wall.
That's funny.
That's so specific.
Like that like, Vine or TikTok thing where, like... people put their own eyes and mouth on something.
Yeah,
that
when they're hovering.
comically big.
That's funny.
That's friggin'
cool.
hilarious.
But
That'll
yeah.
always get a laugh out of me, no matter what.
Just not on an egg.
Just
if you do it on an egg, the mouth's got to overlap the egg,
And the
so
eyes
it's
have got
clearly
to
just a
overlap,
face floating. Yeah.
I've got to think about eggs.
Notes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
We've talked for like half an hour and we've barely talked about the pilot.
The music sounds like The Sims. It's like fun adventure-y.
Yeah, Murray Gold gets a bit more money
That's
and
not
a
an
bit more
insult.
time, doesn't he?
Like
He gets a bit more money and a bit more time this series to create some new themes.
Although
Amy's theme used for like
yeah.
when Bill's sort of discovering the TARDIS and stuff was very strange.
Shadow vibes in The Office.
Yes, Professor
Man.
Kettlewell? Is that his name? I'll look it up. Oh, Professor Chronotis. Yes. Like hanging out at the university campus, the same kind of vibes. Got you. Oh, the photo of photos of Susan and River Song on the desk. I think that's in that again. Lovely little Easter egg. You don't need
What
to
about
know.
Rose?
Well, then if you're going to go like that, I'd be like, what about Perry? Like, you know what I mean? What about?
Did he love Perry?
No, but like.
But he was in love with
He
Rose.
lost Perry.
He was in love with Rose, though.
But
So why not have a picture of
He
Rose?
wasn't in love with Susan.
No, I know, but Susan's his family.
Exactly, and all the companions are his family. There is
Well,
found. Where's his Jamie photo?
No.
Where's his picture of Jamie?
Well, he was made to forget about Jamie.
No, the Doctor remembers Jamie.
Sorry, it was the other way around. Sorry. Okay, anyway, next one. You'll agree about this, bro. Pen pot full of screwdrivers.
I think that's just a reference to Doctor Who fans having those in their
I think
house.
that's adorable. You didn't notice it at first.
I didn't. When you mentioned it, I went, no, I've got that in the
I've got
office.
that in
but
the
like,
office.
yeah, I think
No,
that's...
it was literally a pen pot with sonic screwdrivers.
And yet he's still using the worst one.
Yeah, true.
Although, Matt Lucas as Doctor Who fan was probably quite giddy with the fact that he's got, like, the Tom Baker one, like, when he's doing the vault and stuff.
Yeah.
Nerds.
Anyway. Where am I? I think Bill is fatphobic. We've talked about that. Is he intrigued by her asking Dr. What instead of Doctor Who? When she asked about his name.
Doctor what? Yeah.
She's like, Doctor What instead of Doctor Who. And be like, she said it.
Keep in mind, Peter Capaldi is like the only actor in the modern era who is like, he has openly referred to the character as Doctor Who in interviews because he's very like Bill Hartnell, Pat Troughton, John Pertwee, old school about Tom Baker. Can you name Ego, you nerd? Can you name the 2 actors, one in the classic and one in the modern, who insisted that the credit at the end be changed to the Doctor from Doctor Who?
Was it...
I would guess the modern series.
Was it David?
It was David. The only series where the character in the end credits is Doctor Who is Eccleston's series. Can you guess who it is in the classic series?
Early.
No. Because here's the thing.
Is it Colin?
No.
Is it...
Here's a clue. Why did David do it? Because he's a pedantic fan who grew up with the show, right?
Is it Peter Davison?
Peter Davison. The character is credited...
Or is it Peter Davidson?
Peter Davison. The character is credited as Doctor Who up until the 5th Doctor's era, and then it becomes the Doctor.
There's Peter Davison, but then there's also Peter Davidson.
Right. Are you referring to the SNL alumni or the misspelling of Peter Davison's name
No, I'm just
on the front of Doctor Who magazine when he was announced in the role?
I'm just trying to piss people off. Anyway.
That's alright. There'll be at least one person watching this who still writes Christopher Ecclestone, and for that, I hate you. And there you go.
Why isn't Bill wearing a hairnet when she's
Dishing out chips? True.
Feeding
yeah.
people chips? Gross. Fakest
You've tried the chips.
Fakest snow I've ever seen.
Yeah.
When it suddenly becomes winter.
It looks better 2 episodes later.
Yeah. Foster mum is a beach. I wrote.
Yeah.
And I wrote, oh, Bill is actually good.
Yes.
Because I wasn't expecting her to be good. Heather in a puddle is genuinely creepy. Like they're just staring through the water.
Classic, great, easy scare horror trope when she reaches out and just grabs Bill's face. That is always creepy when a monster just grabs your face.
What's that fear of things coming out of the water?
Holy shit, that puddle's scary-ophobia.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I'm that made me
Don't drown me, a phobia.
Yeah.
Where are my armbands of phobia?
Puddle phobia.
Puddle phobia, that's probably it.
I wrote, he's so feckin' smooth.
Capaldi?
I must mean him. Do I mean him physically, or...
I don't know.
Is he slippy? I don't know.
Not quite sure what you're referring to.
But he's smooth, just, I don't know, just like him. I love that he changed... Okay, so when he went from out of the TARDIS, being the professor, his coat was...
Well spotted.
Was lined with blue.
Yes.
When he went into the TARDIS, he took his jacket off.
And changed.
And when he came back in, you saw the red lining of his jacket, flip up. And it was like, now he's the Doctor.
He's literally gone from educator to
the
me.
Doctor.
Yeah. That was such a nice little touch. I do like how his costume's kind of refined itself now as well. His costume has become sort of the iconic version of what his outfit should look like.
Yeah.
And he's also flitting between the hoodie with the jacket and the buttoned up shirt with a waistcoat or cardigan. Like he's going between them from day to day. Like he's sort of in that thing where it's like he has 2 specific looks and he's comfortably wearing both of them now. There's no experimental shirts or holy jumpers or anything anymore. It's like holy jumpers.
Sorry, it just came out automatically.
Even though I did used to love the white t-shirt and the jumper with like the moth-eaten holes in it. I thought quite lovely. But he's going between like the velvet with the hoodie and the smart shirt look now, and it's like, do you know what? Fine. Like these 2 looks are your look, and he's alternating throughout the series.
I've always thought people that wear shirts buttoned up with no bow tie or anything looks really weird. It looks
depends who's wearing it.
If it's like they've not got dressed completely.
If it's like Capaldi, if it's like Bowie or someone, like they pull it off, and you go, okay, sure.
Certain people pull it off.
Another thing, so just quick to mention, one thing they don't pull off. There's a fun game with the pilot. When you're watching the Doctor's lecture, pause on the wide shot.
It's bad.
There is like 20 extras, and they've been layered in a million times, which is fine if they'd let them wear different outfits, but they haven't. So, to be fair, it only flashes on screen for about 3 seconds, and you, the audience, your eye is meant to be drawn to the bottom right of the screen looking at the Doctor. But if you got it on Blu-ray, or you can pause quick enough on streaming, have a little look and count how many times you can see the same people repeated. It's so strange. Sorry, carry on. We really need to pick up. We've waffled now.
Macaroon dispenser.
Yes.
Love it. Hilarious. Even though I don't like macaroons.
No. And that's in the TARDIS. That's in the TARDIS, right?
Yeah.
We get a custard cream dispenser in the next series.
Oh, I love custard.
She has custard creams in the console.
Hey, the silver sexy aliens with the
Morellons, yeah.
And I wrote Morellons underneath. I need to ask you something.
Go on.
Can I say this? This is very rude of me.
Let me see. I'm going to discourage you, but you can absolutely say that if you wanted to.
That's bad.
That is.
That's she's thirsty.
He's 2,000 years old, for Christ's sake.
I don't know if I can say that out loud.
Just make it the last note and we'll move on to Smile.
This is the last note.
Okay, so the last thing that not Chris is going to say about the pilot.
This is bad. I apologise.
Say it out loud.
It was a hot day, obviously. I can't say it with my mouth. All right. Okay.
If I read it aloud, you start talking about Smile. Okay. This is the final note about the pilot from this horn dog. He's definitely the kind of professor I would do anything to get an A for. Right.
So bad.
Smile. Though your heart is aching.
This is my husband.
Good
I'm
Lord.
So sorry.
Good. This is her husband.
No, he's not.
This is her husband.
No, he's not.
You wish it was.
No,
Hello.
I don't. I'm
Yeah,
glad
you do.
you're my
Time
husband.
and relative dimensions in my pants. Anyway, Smile's
I
alright.
said that. No joke.
Smile's alright.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's.
I think it's very. We've talked about this a lot over the series. When we say something's fine, there's sort of two types, isn't there? There's it's fine and it's fine.
Yeah.
I think this is very much it's fine. It's definitely Frank. It's definitely Frank Cottrell Boyce's better script of his two.
Can't believe I wrote that.
It's definitely his better script of his two after In the Forest of the Night. This is definitely his better script as a writer for the show.
I think the concept is really good, and it's almost as if they've gone, this is the story, and go with it. Doesn't really go to it.
I do kind of feel like it should have been a two-parter.
But where would they have gone?
Because I think what you do is part one, you start with Bill and the Doctor arriving at this place where it's like, oh, it's just robots here, but they're prepping for human life. Oh, what's this all about? And then by the end you learn about the murders and the deaths, and you find out that it's going to happen again and everyone is there in stasis. And then part two, you take that... It wouldn't be a second story, it'd be like later in the series kind of story if you did it this way. Part two, you flash back to the events of everything going horribly wrong, like in the weeks prior. And you kind of go through that, do you know what I mean? And then you sync up. Because we obviously see a family dying at the beginning, and that's it's horrifying. It's great to see Mina Anwar. Mina is lovely, and it's wonderful to see her showing up in this. You know, hey look, it's Geeta Chandra, but not. But that's a shame, because if you're going to reuse her in the show, in the world of Doctor Who, can you not give her a sort of meatier part to deal with? But also, if you want someone who's really good and can absolutely nail that, we are in serious danger, but please listen to what I have to say. She's great at that. She did a great job.
Yeah.
And it is a creepy premise, the idea of these things want you to be happy. If you're not happy, they've not done their job correctly, and at the minute, they think the easiest way to deal with that is to get rid of you.
Yeah.
It's a creepy concept. I like the Smile robot designs. You pointed out they're a little bit too similar to the hand bots from The Girl Who Waited.
In my mind, I can't see what the difference is.
The handbots are taller, they've just got a little round blank head, and they've got big rubber hands. These guys were tiny and had screens for heads.
No.
Okay. But anyway.
Sorry.
There was a smiley on the face of one of them in that story, but that's because the Amy that got left behind drew a smiley face on it and called it Rory.
No.
In a Sharpie.
They look the same.
Okay.
Robotist. Yeah, the same.
Robotist. I like the concept, and I think Lawrence Goff directs this one better than the pilot. I think he really nails sort of the there's a gradual claustrophobia the more danger you realise the Doctor and Bill are in, and as they start to realise the danger they're in, there's a growing sense of claustrophobia. It becomes the spiral staircase or the tighter corridors, and it's this idea of oh my god, you've essentially walked into a trap.
Oh my god.
I like the idea that the robots don't know any better. It's someone died, and I love the concept, the idea of because it's set around the same time as the Ark in Space and the Beast Below. It's humans leaving Earth and starting colonies elsewhere because the Earth's too dangerous to be on anymore.
Yeah.
At this point in time, because they go back eventually, and that's how we end up with the history of Earth after that and everything. But
History of the World Part 2,
which we just finished watching today, which is great. I like the idea of, so they'll send out this colony ship where a small community will get out and begin the process of the terraforming and setting up the gardens and the farms and the hospitals, and these robots will assist them. And the robots are essentially a product of the nanobots that make up the entire structure of the colony. The robots are just sort of the facilitators for the nanobots. And then they get everything ready, and then the ship arrives with everybody ready to be like, oh, great, so we've got food, and la la la. But obviously the twist here being that, nope, the entire city was the ship, everybody was still there in stasis waiting for everything to be ready, and one person dies, and grief is something that the robots, unfortunately, were not prepared for. Like, the pain wouldn't go away. So you couldn't, like... I am satisfied with my care. You couldn't reach that state because it was hurt, it was pain. And their response was, well, we have to get rid of that because we've been programmed to make sure everyone's happy and everything's going well. I also love the idea of, like, having an emotional indicator about your person that allows others to know how you're feeling, because it's obviously for the benefit of the robots and the nanobots. It's for them to be like, oh, that person's sad, how can I help?
Yeah.
Like, it's a great idea.
But also, it's not great if you're, like, trying to give, like, side-eye. And thinking, oh, God.
No.
This person's an idiot.
And I feel like Capaldi gives good manic grin.
Scary. I like it.
It is a bit weird that it's like the thing is motivated to make it look like you're happy because you're smiling and that's why.
Yeah.
And it's not actually reading your mood. Because
Yeah,
they make jokes early on about, like, oh God, what if you're trying to lie? What if you're trying to cover up? It's like, well, I guess that wouldn't matter, would it? As long as you're smiling.
It kind of... Them saying that makes the emotion on your back pointless.
It makes the threat of them being rumbled a bit less of a threat. Because as long as they're just going... I'm grinning, then they'll be fine.
So, is it essentially, this thing on your back, it just says what your face says, not actually how you feel?
Basically, that's the execution, yeah. I don't think it's meant to be that, but it is.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, the Doctor refers to the idea of, like, when you smile, you physically sort of, like, in your body it releases a chemical that, like, it's like
Makes
the act of smiling does make you feel a little bit happier, and that's what they're picking up on. But also, you're basically saying, if we smile, we'll fool the robots. So it's like, okay. It's not as threatening. Like, you don't feel like they could buckle at any minute and give the game away, essentially.
Yeah.
But I think that's only a problem if you think about it too much, which is what we're doing.
But that feels like a big plot hole.
Yay and nay. I mean, the idea of, like, this entire place is made of robots that could kill us because it thinks that we're not happy is a great concept and kind of freaky. I love the idea that they use the corpses of the people they eradicated, which they sort of, like, zhuzh away into nothing, and then they reconstituted them as waste matter to continue the growth of the garden, and it's like, that's terrifying.
Is there an interesting fact?
Go on.
That machine actually exists in real life.
There you go.
It's called a cremulator.
A cremulator.
When somebody's been cremated and
yeah.
You get ashes.
You can have that done specifically just for...
When you've been cremated, your bones just don't just deteriorate.
Yeah.
They have to be flattened and crushed.
Yeah.
And it's called a cremulator.
There you go.
There you go.
Morbid sausage.
I'm not...
But do you know what I mean? Like, it's that image where they open the thing and just a bunch of, like, bones fell out. It's like, that's nice and creepy. I feel like it loses itself a little bit at the end. Like I said, 2 episodes might have made the growing tension of the waking colonists work better, because it just kind of feels rushed. It's like, holy crap, it's Ralph Little, what a great actor, and now he's suddenly mad with a gun. That felt like it happened really quick.
Yeah.
Like, if it was 2 episodes, you'd have a bit more of a build-up to it. You know what I mean? You could have, oh my god, part 1, like I said, it could just be Bill and the Doctor arriving, it's like, oh, this is an empty place, they must be preparing it for humans to arrive. Once you hit a certain point, like 15 minutes in, they discover, wait a minute, I think people have already been here. You could then tell a parallel story of, like, 2 weeks prior in the same locations they're in. So, do you know what I mean? So it flips back and forth. So it's almost like they're following the trail of what happened to, like, the last person there.
You could have a shot of them going down a corridor and they turn, and then
the camera turns back to the other end of the corridor.
No, in the same shot, somebody comes round the other corner that's like a...
And you can narratively sort of mirror it, so then episode 2, the 2 stories have synchronised, and it's now about the colonists waking up and being in danger.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very good, very nice.
Yeah, I think it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it was accessible for kids to understand, which is something that I'm very passionate about because it's a kids show.
Them having, like, cartoonishly evil smiles is a bit overkill. Like the fact that they've got skull smiles inside their eyes and their smile is made up of skull faces is like, why would they look like that?
Why would you program that?
Exactly. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. They should just have like really sad faces or just have a completely blank face or something. Or like the face just disappears and it just becomes a red circle or something like that.
Also, that lady died and was laying rest.
Yes.
She was very well kept.
She was.
Oh, no, it was over the last few days, wasn't it? So of course she would
That's
be
the
well
reveal.
kept.
It's like it's all happened within like a week.
That literally just programmed in my head. Want to hear my notes?
Yes, please. Whip them out and then we can move on to Thin Whale.
There's not lots. I do like the way they play against each other. So the Doctor and Bill, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like a relationship I've ever seen between them before. It's almost like...
It's almost like... I don't know.
Like brother and sister, but not...
I don't mean
I guess
she's
dad,
sort of...
dad and kid, I suppose.
I think she's... And this isn't an immediate, like, oh, 1 for 1. It sort of feels a little closer. It's like the modern series' equivalent of the Doctor Ace relationship. There's a bit of a mentor thing going on.
Yeah.
But she absolutely isn't just there to be like, what is this about, Doctor? She's absolutely her own person.
She's got her own...
She's a bit cocky, she's got her own vibe, she's very daft, she's a bit of a big kid like Ace is sometimes. Like there's
she's
that
very
kinda...
confident in herself.
Yeah. And he's very much like, we're equals, until he has to put his foot down and be like, no, let me do this.
Well, no, I think he's kind of like, at the beginning he's kind of like, oh, well, I'm the Doctor, I know everything. Oh, she actually has a mind. Oh, okay, she's kind of right. I've got no control over this person.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Was that helpful?
Sure,
yeah. Robots? No. Nope. No. I don't want to live in a world that's like that. No. No, I'm good. No, Christopher, they're not cute.
I thought they were kind of cute.
No. I wrote, a cremulator!
You morbid weirdo.
What a weirdo. Don't look at my browser history. That was a Moffat line.
That keeps coming up as well. His first episode has a joke about it. Like where the Doctor borrows Jeff's laptop and then it's like, oh, bad boy Jeff, or whatever. It's just like, this is going to be a continuing thing, isn't it? There is a joke about it in his last episode as well.
For God's sake.
There we go.
Check
his hard drive.
I wrote, good job they didn't blow up the city.
That was a dark joke. Sorry, go on.
What did you say?
Check his hard drive.
Check his hard drive.
Never mind. Go on.
What does that mean?
It means he's got dodgy stuff on his hard drive. Check his hard drive.
Oh no. Has Peter Capaldi got bad stuff on his computer?
What? What are you
I
talking
thought
about?
you were implying something had happened.
Moffat. I was making a joke about the fact he keeps making jokes about his browser.
I don't give a shit about stealing
Look,
Moffat.
read your notes. Read your notes.
Yeah, I wrote, it's a good job they didn't blow up the city. Because they were gonna, weren't they?
Yes.
And then...
Don't blow up the city, Bill.
That's what he said.
I wrote that before they actually said it in the episode.
Yeah.
Because they actually do say that. I was like, yeah. Hey. Average minds think alike. Yeah, that's the end of my note.
Fantastic. I really like Thin Ice.
Me too.
Like, I really like Thin Ice. I think it's a cracking episode. Thin Ice is the first one. It sort of goes back to the formula as well, this, of the Russell years, where it's like, and the early Moffat, where it's like, at the first episodes, there's one set in the modern day, and then the 2 and 3, interchangeably, are a historical and a far future episode.
Yeah.
We've had the far future one, we're now going historical. I love the teaser as well. I love that Smile ends in the scene where Thin Ice begins. It's very much like the Hartnell era.
Yeah.
Where a story will end where next week is going to kick off.
So you're excited about the next... And it's not just a trailer. Look at all this stuff's going to happen. It's just like, oh,
next series does that too and then abandons it like 2 episodes in, which is a shame. But, like, yeah. Like, I like that. Thin Ice is great. Things to shout out about Thin Ice. I love that it confronts the idea of Bill going, okay, we've had fun, but I have seen you deal with people being killed like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
that scares me a little bit.
Have you killed a person?
When she's like, how many people have you seen die? And he's like, I'm over 2,000 years old, like, I've seen a lot. She's like, have you killed someone? And you can see he's like, do I say? And that alone is enough for her to be like, oh my God.
I think he's looking at her like, you can tell that I have, please don't make me say it.
Yes. There's like, everything about this episode is a bit more of a romp. Those two scenes where they have those discussions...
brings you back down to...
It feels almost like Moffat's note to Sarah Dollard is, we need to confront this here somewhere.
yeah, exactly. It's confronting him.
And Sarah Dollard writes a great script. This is her second one for the show. She wrote Face the Raven, which again, up until the Moffat sort of stuff took over at the end, I think was quite solid on its own. And then the story arc kind of takes over and snatches it away. In this, I feel like Moffat's influence was a better aspect of this one, because it's about the idea of what he should really be doing as the showrunner, which is these two characters up to this point don't know each other. We need her to quiz him a little bit more on who he is and what he stands for.
And he's not really been confronted by it before, I suppose. Maybe
not
briefly,
not in this
but,
way. Not in this way, but yeah.
Like, she's actually horrified.
But by the end, she kind of enough happens where she sort of sees that, you know, this is a good person, and sometimes we cannot save everybody, and sometimes if a million lives are in danger from one bad bastard, and the only way to stop that bad bastard is to lead them into their own trap or like stop them that way. I could never pull the trigger, but if he thinks that's the best way to do it, I'm not going to stand in his way. Like, you sort of see that, you know, there is that horrible morality thing of like, he may have to take a life to save like millions more.
Yeah.
You talk the actor Pearl Mackie.
Pearl Mackie.
Yeah.
She plays horrified very, very well.
Yes. Yeah.
Her emotion, because she looks like almost like she's going to be sick when she realizes what's just happened. That kid's just fallen through the ice and.
Oh, that's scary. That a kid
dead.
dies.
Yeah.
A little kid dies in this
And
story.
she's like, I'm in this whimsical place. I'm in the past. I'm not even born yet. It's all the horror of her reality right now. It goes
unspoken as well, but she watches him snatch the screwdriver out of the boy's hand.
Yeah. And
be like, oh, thank God, it's all right. And she doesn't say it, but that's sort of the kicker where she's like, I've just seen a kid die. And you're more fussed about your screwdriver.
Yeah.
And when in reality, it's because he's like, right, something's killing people. I need to stop it, and I don't want to lose that. I need it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and obviously then it is an important device later on because it's the thing that sends out the sonar signal and whatnot. So it's like, yeah. But it is morbid when you realise that kid's arm wasn't sticking out there because the kid was just like frozen in ice or whatever. Like, that was what was remaining of the kid.
Yeah.
Before it then gets snatched under it. Yeah. Grim. I like the urchins. There's a lot of Dickensian sort of nods in this.
That girl, I recognise her. The main urchin-y girl.
Kitty, I think she's called. She's got no attached credit here on the site I'm looking at, but she could have popped up in other stuff. Yeah. She was very good. Peter Singh as the Pie Man was a fun little recurring character who kept popping up.
Yeah, he was like a scam artist.
I love that the lad who gets snatched is called Spider. What a great name.
I know. Spider!
Spider! we watched the TV movie version of Woman in Black not too long ago, didn't we? So Spider!
Yeah. Spider! To be fair, it's like that all the time.
Lovely Simon Ludders as the overseer of the yard. Fans who follow my nonsense, who K-makers of CBBC stuff are initially... Simon Ludders, the overseer of the yard, who they basically sort of, nothing gets past you, of course, like they basically trick him into giving away what he's heard rumour-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Is played by Simon Ludders, aka Renfield from Young Dracula. And he does a cracking job in this. He's in a couple scenes, him, Pearl Mackie and Capaldi, and they have a really nice, like, proper... It's sort of like a slightly more serious sort of vaudeville routine. Where they're getting the information out of him, and he doesn't realise that's what they're doing. It's really well handled, I think.
It made me laugh that you said to me, oh, someone you recognise will be on in a minute. I am so sorry, Sydney. Your good friend Sydney.
I don't think Sydney's watching these.
I was watching it for Dracula. I don't recognise anybody else.
Redfield was on camera with Keith all the time.
I was looking at Keith.
Okay, fair enough. Bless your eyes. Nicholas Burns as Lord Sutcliffe. Nicholas Burns. Freaking Nathan Barley himself. Nicholas Burns. Nicholas, it is I, the King Burns. Nicholas, me blood, mummy. It hurts. King Burns. Me blood hurts, it burns. Nicholas Burns. Nicholas Burns is one of those actors who's like in so much, and he's brilliant. And what I like about this story is this is sort of this is one of those ones where we've talked about this before. I get a little bit annoyed when there are too many stories that are just, oh, it was a misunderstanding. Because I'm like, I do like a boo-hiss baddie. I want a boo-hiss baddie. Yeah. This is one where the monster is a misunderstanding. The monster is just doing what it needs to do. It doesn't know it's being fed these people, like...
For malicious
reasons. It's been chained up and it's been utilised by a boo-hiss baddie.
Yeah.
And it's like, yay! We get both versions of the story structure. And Nicholas Burns plays a detestable arsehole. The Doctor punches a racist. Like,
hell yeah, Doctor, you go, son.
Like, just setting up the whole scene, just like, look, we need to be we set up the whole scene like, we need to be careful, you know, someone of your, you know, complexion in a room with this sort of person, someone who is completely happy to be feeding innocent people to this creature, who's using its, like, it's, because that's essentially the plot, isn't it? It's arrived somehow, we're not quite sure how, he's got hold of it, he's chained it up, it's probably chained up when it was younger.
Yeah.
And its shit is more powerful than coal. So that's what's happening. They're feeding people to this creature and they're using its waste to try and completely take over the fuel industry and dominate it. So he's building a fuel empire off of the dead bodies of children, homeless people and innocents in the area. He puts on the Frost Fair, he funds it every year. So he can feed innocent people to this monster.
But didn't he say that...
Sorry, this innocent monster. This big scary thing in the lake that does not want to be there. In the lake. In the Thames. That does not want to be there.
Yeah, I did.
I'm dying.
Didn't he say that it's like... that's been going on for generations in his family?
Yes, that was it. So it's been a thing that's been going... They've been building up to it. They've been like getting to the point where he's about to like mass ship everything out. And they keep it on a need-to-know basis. The employees don't know exactly what it is they're doing. They just know they're packaging it. But yeah, the Doctor spends the whole scene being like, someone of your appearance in a room with a person who's like this, at this time in history, please leave the talking to me. Like, you've got to maintain your composure. Do not get wound up by him. Like, we have to learn this information. The moment he comes in and starts barking at Bill because she's black, the Doctor just, without saying a word, punches him in the face. It's like,
it's incredible.
Love it, because it's like, oh, he's broken the plan, but you absolutely understand. He's like, how dare you talk to my friend like this? It's like, yeah, fair enough.
Incredible.
The only thing that would have made it because it's perfect, the only thing that would have made it a fraction better is if he'd gone, hike, as he did it.
Now
that I've said that, you're like, yeah.
Nobody else could get away with that.
The Doctors, you mean?
No, like modern Doctors, like redoing it after Pertwee.
Oh, saying hike, but Capaldi would. His hair's gone full Pertwee by this point as well. He's got big floof.
His hair's just nuts. I love it.
He's got a bakery air and a Pertwee flair. Go Capaldi. Woo! Yeah, I really, really like Thin Ice. I like the conclusion. I love the diving suits. I love the fact that when they get back, Nardole is returning with the cuppa that they asked him to make at the end of episode 1, because they've arrived 5 minutes later from the end of episode 1. It's like, that's a great little joke. And I love the tease at the end. He goes down to check on the safe, he's having a bitch and a moan, and someone knocks on the door from the other side, and he's like, that's new. He's like, I'm not letting you out. It's a really creepy tease for like, no, seriously, why are they looking after this safe? What is this about? Do you have notes for Thin Ice before we move on to Knock Knock?
I was just going to say, I unfortunately do know...
Yes, because you'd seen a bit of later in the series, so you do know what the twist is.
Yeah, so that's not scary to me, but if I didn't know who it was, that would be scary.
It's a nice creepy build-up, I think.
The Doctor is adorable. His facial expressions are
Oh, do
amazing.
you love that he was playing dress up as well?
Yeah.
That he was in full on
And
Victorian
then he
garb.
immediately takes his hat off.
Well, I love that because it's like Bill's dressed up, and it's almost like he's gone, we'll tell you what, while we're going to the wardrobe, I'll do it as well. And it's like, okay, fair enough. We're going to get a lot more of that in Shooty Gatwa's era based on the stuff they've been releasing.
I'm excited.
He seems to have like a different outfit for nearly every time period. It's like full on Pertwee levels of, I'm playing dress up every week, let's go.
I wrote, his facial expressions are amazing. Like when he was going down the stairs onto the steps
like,
onto.
ooh,
Yeah.
And he looks back at her and he's all giddy. He's like, hey, let's go. Yeah.
I said Bill is also adorable. I love how the Doctor is charmed by her being amazed at things. Like he's looking at her like.
He's living because he's not done it for at least 50 years. He's living for this.
Yeah.
Love
That's
that.
all I wrote. I was too busy enjoying the episode.
Knock Knock
Who's that?
is the 4th episode of the series.
Okay.
This one is written by Mike Bartlett, who I think has written other ones. I'm just going to double check. He's the main writer for Dr. Foster. Let me see. Oh, hello, Min. You're right there, sweetheart. Just getting in the way of my notes. Fantastic. Just walking straight in front. He's a playwright mostly. He's only ever written Knock Knock for Doctor Who. I'm just going to put it out there now. I would like to see another script by Mike Bartlett at some point because there is some stuff in this that worked wonderfully. I think had class continued, he would have been a good person to get on for an episode because like this feels like it could have the concept of this feels like it could have slotted into something like Class perfectly in terms of the idea of like student housing and like the trap mystery kind of vibe in a way that would have bettered that series, but you get me. And he's obviously an incredibly accomplished writer. That being said, I think this one is also just fine. I'm a little like lukewarm on this one for a couple of reasons. I think one of them is because it was a misunderstanding in a way that I don't know. Do you know what? I can't pinpoint it. This one just kind of I don't feel satisfied by this one.
Right.
But I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's a very...
Like, the Mystery of Suchet is quite good. His character, David Suchet, and Hercule Poirot as the landlord. The character credited as the landlord. Like, the mystery around him is, I think, very good. And the best, I think his best scene is when he comes to check on them after they've had the Chinese and the doctor's walking around eating a prawn cracker. And it's just him checking on them. He plays that level of, no, seriously, what the hell's going on and what is this person?
Yeah, he's
perfectly.
a bit dodgy, this guy.
But not in a threatening way. There's that one bit where he sort of goes like, no, when they mention the tower. And you're like, oh. But apart from that, he's just like, is this okay? Is this guy alright? He plays it brilliantly. He's got that twinkle in his eye that starts off as charming and becomes more upsetting as the scene goes on. Yes. He plays that well. I think the eventual reveal of, like, this isn't someone who's been looking after his daughter, this is the son, and this is just how long he's been going along with it, like, is an interesting twist. I don't feel it's a necessary one.
Yeah,
I think were she his daughter, she still is at this thing where she's, like, not completely all there. And her coming to the realisation of what he's been doing to keep her alive, you would get the same result.
Yeah.
Of if she was actually his daughter, as you do with the realisation she's his mum.
Yeah.
There's also the implication that he's only letting out this place like every sort of 20 years. So it's like, is she dormant every 20 years and then they...
What does he do during those 20 years?
And how is he like... Yeah, like what does he do the rest of the time? Because there's an implication that he himself is also kind of... He's not disappearing into the wood, but he's certainly... Like, the bugs know he's the provider. So he's
a bit part of the ship, part of the crew.
Yeah, yes, that is a great comparison. Dead Man's Chest. That is a great comparison. The implication is he never leaves the house.
Yeah.
He's always in the house. And by the end you realise it's because the house is probably just letting him stay there because the wood lice, the creatures know you're okay.
I just stabbed myself.
God.
I'm so sorry.
It's because the creatures know he's the provider.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, sure, whatever.
What an idiot.
But like, oh, they're called the Dryads, aren't they? Doctor calls them the Dryads.
And I'm a Dryad.
I'm a Dryad. I think that, yeah, there's some great elements in this. But I think here's the rub. I think this is a great episode of Class, or you reduce the casualty sort of it slightly, it would be a great Sarah Jane Adventures. I think it'd make for a great one-off mystery story, or even a horror movie concept. I feel like it almost doesn't quite fit Doctor Who. The fact that it is... Sometimes it's like we're seeing a classic horror trope, but there's a sci-fi twist, and the show does it quite well. Horror of Fang Rock. There's a creature out in the ocean that's attacking the lighthouse. You're remembering the slap, aren't you? Yeah? Yeah.
It's one of the best things that's ever
It's so
been on
good.
TV.
But
It's
like,
incredible.
but you know what I mean? Like, that's a classic like sea monster story.
Yeah.
But it turns out, oh no, it's not a sea monster. It's a Rutan. It's an alien creature, and it's like, you know, there's a tie-in to it. Tooth and Claw, again, it's a werewolf tale.
Yeah.
But there's a sci-fi element, but it's still a werewolf tale. This very much is a... Wait, it's wood lice from space? What? Which I think could work, but like, take that out and have it be this just sort of like living entity where the house, its caretaker and its secret inhabitant are all one thing.
Yeah.
There's sort of there's a scarier version there. You know what I mean? Do you know what it reminded me of, weirdly, thematically? The Boy.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, The Boy is a horror film about a lady who's sort of employed to be a nanny, essentially, like a live-in nanny. She lives on like in the house of
She's trying to escape a
abusive ex.
Abusive relationship.
And she comes to the UK and there's a groundskeeper who lives off-site, and she's like the first nanny in a while who's like happy to stick around because this elderly couple wanted to look after their son, who turns out to be a
Brahms.
doll. Brahms, a doll. And there's very specific routines and rules around how she's meant to treat the doll while they're away. She's meant to put him to bed and just tell him a story.
Like a child,
like a child. Of course, at first she's like, they're kidding, right? And then she's like, oh my god, this is a DOS. Like, I can just do whatever.
Yeah.
But when she starts neglecting the rules, things start to go a bit weird. And the entire film... I'm going to spoil a horror film from 2016, 2017, so deal with it.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say 20 years ago then. I was like, I'm out.
The entire premise of the movie hinges on the idea that, is Brahms alive? Or is there, like, a spirit attached to Brahms or something?
Yeah.
And there's implications of, like, maybe there was someone who died. Like, this is their son who passed away, and that's why they're looking after this dog. 'Cause it's sort of... It's how they've dealt with the trauma, but they've just never sort of gotten over it. And it's played up as sort of a supernatural horror. And when her abusive... ex shows up, like tracking her down, trying to bring her home, and there's tension with the fact that she and the groundskeeper have gotten quite close romantically and all this stuff, and shit really starts to hit the fan. You get the revelation that no, there is nothing supernatural going on. Brahms, their son, is deeply troubled and has been living in the walls of the house since his childhood. So when things have been moved or been a bit off, it's been him sort of showing his displeasure with the routine being out of whack. Like, she is technically taking care of him via the proxy of the doll.
Yeah.
And it's not a great movie, but it's quite a good setup, isn't it?
It's a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story, not great execution. But
I imagine it would do very well as a play.
yeah. I think this reminds me a lot of that. It's like, there's a great idea here, I just don't think Doctor Who was the place to do it, weirdly.
I forgot we were talking about Doctor Who then.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? I don't think Doctor Who was the place to do this story. I feel like there is a film or a play here that would better suit. And maybe that's because, you know, Mike Bartlett is a playwright. Maybe it's just that theatrical sensibility. I can feel it in my bones, because obviously that's like my world as well, is that maybe I just feel like this belongs in a different format.
It's
It
got
almost feels like the Doctor shouldn't be in it.
Yeah, like he could very well not be in it, and it would work.
Because he's the only reason any of the characters question what's going on.
Yeah.
Which makes them all kind of seem a bit thick, in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like, again, I think most people who've been uni students or looked for accommodation when they're quite young saw the opening and were like, God, could you imagine if someone just came along and went, yeah, you can pay next to nothing and it's all ready for you, just move in. You'd be like, oh my God, thank you so much! Like, thank you!
Am I not a normal person? I would go, why is this so readily available?
Well, exactly. The fact none of them question it, especially Bill,
Yeah.
who has seen some shit in the last couple of weeks.
She does give a look.
Yeah, and that's it. She gives a look. But even she's like, no, seriously, she almost plays it like it's a bit uncool that he's showing up to check on her and make sure she's alright. Which is very weird because she's not been like that the last 2 weeks.
It does make me laugh that...
do you know what it felt like?
He's a bit outraged that she says Grandad is...
It felt like Bill was written for Clara.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like Bill was written for Clara, the idea of like, alright, you show me up a little bit here, can we not do this now?
I have a crush on someone, can you not?
Yeah, I mean, except she doesn't.
I thought she had a crush on her friend.
That is a really sweet and naturally played moment where the lad's sort of like, kind of hinting like, do you want to maybe go out sometime?
Yeah.
And she basically goes like, yeah, I'm not into guys. Like you, / I'm not into guys. And he just sort of is like, oh, okay, no worries. Like, he doesn't skulk about it, he doesn't take offence, he's just instantly like, right, that's why I wasn't sort of getting any signals, and also, awesome, no worries, that's cool. And she sees that as like a, cheers man, thanks, like, and they just move on, and it's perfectly natural and really sweet.
Yeah.
I've got a soft spot for Colin Ryan, because I met him a couple times when he was working on the CBBC show Leonardo. We did a couple screenings together at Media City. He plays Harry in this. He's lovely, and I think because they're all kind of written as a bit dim, he leans into that really well in this. He's the one who is kind of playing it in that young adult kind of vibe in terms of this is a kid's show that the family watches.
Yeah.
It's not cheesy, but it's just the right level of heightened. In an earlier draft of the script, the character of Harry was going to be revealed to have the surname Sullivan and was the grandson of Harry Sullivan. So his name would have been Harry Sullivan Jr.
For what reason?
I think just because they thought it was cute. It was
cute.
removed, I believe, before filming because they realised it just kind of didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, it's a bit dumb.
But yeah, that's just a little tidbit of info there. Big shout out to Maria Gale, who plays Eliza, acting through a very specific prosthesis and delivering quite a sympathetic performance. When she at the end is realising the extent of what her son has done to keep her alive, you feel her sort of her love for him, but her shame and her disgust in that moment, but she can't blame him, but she knows that it's wrong and they have to stop now.
Yeah.
Like, she does a great bit of work through what is effectively, and there's the so this is the Doctor Who experience before it closed, through what is effectively a mask.
Well, it's like she's smiling in it.
Well, that's because they've just semi-reconstructed the mouth. Because
the mouth, sense,
yeah, because there's the photo on the wiki, in case anyone's wondering. The mouth was part prosthesis, whereas the rest of it's kind of a mask. So for the dummy, they've just sort of constructed a mouth into the thing.
Yeah.
But, like, it's a very...
I thought they'd given her a big cheesy grin.
It's a very stiff costume to deal with. And she acts...
Makes you seem quite wooden.
Yes. She acts brilliantly with it. It does not impair her. I love the way as well that her hair is like twine.
It's like little twigs.
Yeah, that's a great little detail. The guy embedded in the wall is horrifying. Especially when you realise that he's sort of still alive, because the music that was playing was keeping him concentrated, it was keeping him grounded. It was his turntable playing, it was keeping him there. and then Suchet just takes the needle off and the guy sinks into the wall.
Not cool.
The horror's removed slightly when we realise that none of them are dead, because essentially what the...
Yeah, but that's at the end, though.
What the dryads do is they just reconstitute your atoms. So they all got restored. Before Eliza allows herself and the landlord to die, she, like, reassembles everyone. Which is a fun visual. Like, I like them kind of climbing back out of everything as though they've just been there the whole time, even though we saw them disappear.
I forgot what I was going to say.
This is one of the locations that has doubled for Wester Drumlin's house in some of the other media. The location from Blink. Most distinctly in the incredible... If you've not played this, play it. The incredible mobile and console game by Maze Theory, Doctor Who The Lonely Assassins. It's an incredible game. It is a sequel to Blink, and the Wester Drumlin's house features heavily, including as well that staircase-like corridor that Suchet and Capaldi had a scene in. That features heavily in the climax of that game in video stuff. So I was a bit distracted this time because I was like, oh, is that bit where you use the CCTV on the outside in the courtyard? Oh, that corridor, that's where Osgood... Well, spoilers. Oh, there's a... So it was like, okay, that's a bit distracting.
What?
Yeah. I wonder if there are any kids who watched this one who got scared of creaking noises and settling noises in their house afterwards.
Well, isn't that fun? Isn't that fun that...
There would be little things where you're like, oh no!
Like,
that's a very Moffat thing, to take something very normal and make it creepy.
Fans of the original series when they were kids, always used to say, oh, that had me hiding behind the sofa.
Yeah.
There isn't really anything. There's stuff that would disturb you and never let you sleep again. Like the smilers, the fucking things that... Again,
the Moffat and the writers that work for him tend to find great ways to turn everyday things into something to be worried about. I mean, Moffat himself, himself as a writer, you swine.
Just from Moffat.
You swine. Gas masks, Are You My Mummy?
Yeah,
Shadows that will eat you alive, statues that move when you're not watching, the sound of a ticking clock when you notice the one in the room's broken. Like, he's been very good at that kind of...
Yeah, that's true.
That kind of thing. And Mike Bartlett gets to do a bit of that here with the idea of, like, house setting noises. It's fine. There's a lot to like. I just think maybe Doctor Who was the wrong place for it.
I don't think I'd go... no, I agree, yeah.
Or maybe just a different era. Maybe just a different era would have serviced this one better. Like, make the dryads like proper sort of little, papier-mâché monsters, like close-up of like one of them like flexing on the kitchen counter. Stick it in the late Pertwee era. Make it a unit story. Great.
I think, for me, it doesn't have that balance of scary and goofy. It's too much either way.
Yeah, no, I get you. I also like the idea that the Chinese stays on the Doctor's mind, because then when he eventually goes back to the vault for his shift, he's just bought like Thai, and he's got like bags of prawn crackers in it, and you're like, there you go. And the fact that he like opens the vault in a way that implies he does that often,
and he knows,
and goes and sits in with whoever's in there. Yeah. Again, nice teaser. Do you have notes on this one?
I do, not many. I wrote, this is legit scary. The guy in the wall with the emojis of just two big eyes, just like...
Yeah, fair enough.
Gross.
Yeah.
Wooden Eliza. Wowza. Yikes.
Yeah.
Fucking scary. If I was... I'm 32.
It's got so rude so quick.
Sorry.
No, don't apologise, it's funny.
Look, there's two things I'm really passionate about. Things that are scary and Peter Capaldi. I think we can establish that is the case in this episode. I definitely know that if I was a kid watching this, that would have shit me up massively. I would have been scared of everything.
For me, it's the notion that he's still sort of conscious because he's just stuck there.
I'm talking about Eliza.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, she's like when she comes around the screen door for the first time. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. I'm surprised I didn't have a little wee. That was scary. But
it's because once you started talking, you were
but
like,
it's really good.
she seems nice and confused. I hope
Can
she's
she
alright.
see? Is she alive? What is she? Is she human? Oh, she is kind of both.
Both.
David Suchet is amazing.
Yeah, he's good in this.
I think it's kind of sad that
Like at the end where he
Like,
basically
his
slips
mum-
back into being a little boy is like really upsetting to watch.
something that was confusing though to me was she said you need to live your life. You know,
Yes.
you need to go and do something, and then she.
Well, it's because
Kills
after
him.
that he attempts to. He's like no, and he attempts to kill Bill and the Doctor. So she's like, yeah, he's too far gone. We need to stop.
And
So
then,
I see what you mean, but like there's a moment between her saying that and her making the decision that the two of them it's their time
yeah.
because he tries to have them killed. So it's like she's like, no, he's too far. I can't let him out.
Oh,
there.
okay, he's a little bitch.
Yeah, like he's a murderous little bitch. We both gonna die.
The little bugs are cute.
Yeah, the dryads are like quite cute.
'Cause they got
They're well
killed.
designed, and you know, woodlice aren't the grossest of bugs. So like you know,
Little notes are cute. I don't know what that means. Are there post-it notes?
can't remember now. Not quite sure. Well, the most unbelievable thing about the entire What's It is set in 2017. I'm sorry, not a single one of them checked that there was a place to charge their phone when they went into the house.
Yeah.
Not believing that for a second.
Testing the Wi-Fi before they went in.
Yeah, like no, not believing that for a second. Come on.
Go on.
Like I said, it should have been a movie and it should have been set like in the 70s and it would have worked better.
Indeed.
Anyway, what do you think of Friend from the Future / the pilot, Smile, Thin Ice and Knock Knock? Let us know down below. This has been quite a positive episode, really,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Do you agree that Peter Capaldi is an absolute snack? Let me know in the comments
Is
below.
he an absolute smoke show? Let us know in the comments below.
When he plays the guitar in the TARDIS, I mean a little bit. I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Okay. This one's been a lovely positive one. It's a shame about next week. Next week we are talking Oxygen. Next week. Next video for you lot. It'll be like over the course of this week we watch it. Oxygen, Extremis, The Pyramid at the End of the World, and The Lie of the Land. AKA, this one's cool, and oh. Wow.
No, you said all of these were going to be
I said
fun.
this series is great,
This is...
but there is a 3-parter in the middle that
Have you
nearly
tricked
lost
me?
me. No, because after that we get some really fun ones. And the best finale 2-parter since Series 5.
Well, I don't want to watch it.
What?
I don't want to watch them then.
We're going to watch them.
I don't think so.
We're going to watch them. It's time for you to meet the monks.
I've met many monks. Have I? Probably
What
not.
are you talking about? Look, the colours changed over the course of this. That's how long we've been recording.
Wow.
I'm going to go
Can I
now.
just say that
Oh.
figure of Bill, I mean, I can't see her face at the minute, but it looks really, really good.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Thanks
I can't
for that.
see Capaldi's ass, though.
Okay, we're going. Bye!